Alrighty, we have Khushboo and Nafisa getting ready to demo the work that they've done on Mailman 3 for Sisters. Goes 2015. If anyone is, if you're not speaking, I'd ask you to just mute yourself, but then we'll have some time to do some Q&A at the end or during the demo. So who's up first?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay, you have it.
Yes. So I have prepared a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. I'll just share my screen so that everybody can look at it. Yeah, here it is. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
I can see it.
So let me. Okay, something went wrong. Just one sec.
So this happened with these students yesterday. Is that an Apple? So you may not be able to play it. So if you can just make it as large as you can, and then we can move on.
Okay. Yes. So
So just leave it in design mode, and then just make it as large as you can, and then we'll keep moving. For
yes,
some
this
reason,
is.
it doesn't play and be on sharing on Google Hangout for at the same time.
Okay, I think I've made it as large as possible. So.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Share your screen one
So,
more time because we don't see it. Do you all see it?
Okay, you don't see it? Yes, I think there was some problem. Yes, I think one sec. Do you see it now?
No.
Uh, can you hear me?
No.
Yes.
And can you see the screen?
No. So don't
Can
put it
everyone see?
on play. That's the
No.
no. Don't put it
Okay, I'm
on
not.
play. Just leave it on design mode.
All right. So I'll just start my presentation here. So my project for this GSoC was Mailman 3, and I will start with what this project was. As a background information, the project was about developing an architecture for generating monthly reports for Sisters that is executed at the first of every month, and it contains information, statistics for the prior month, which contain information like number of unsubscribed members through different channels. So when a member unsubscribes in the mailing list, there are different modes or channels through which he or she can unsubscribe. So recording that for the previous month. The second feature was to record the stats for the number of unique subject lines posted on a given list. And the third one was to record the stats for the number of members who posted. I will go into detail of each one of those later on in my presentation. The goals that I set in my mind, that I set for this project was firstly to set up Mailman 3 and understand the current structure of Mailman. This was an important task because installing Mailman in itself was a huge task, and especially with the new structure having five different components which are then related to each other. You have to understand how they function because it's drastically different from the previous versions of Mailman. And the second goal that I considered was to understand and design each of these assigned features, how they can be implemented in this new version of Mailman, and of course develop them. And the third goal was to learn Python, Django, so because Mailman being the two components of Mailman, Postorius and HyperKitty, being on Django and the language being Python, it was very important to know. And I think both me and Nafisa were completely new to these two, to Python and Django. So, is everyone there?
Yes, we're here.
Oh, okay. Do interrupt if you have any questions in the middle. Uh, the prerequisite
Can't see.
tasks.
You can't see
Sorry,
your slides. We
you
can't
can't
see
see
your
my.
slides.
Okay, you can't see my screen.
No.
All right. The problem here is I don't know why this is happening. So the presentation is on a different window and my Google Hangout is in a different window. That's why I think each time I try to bring them together, something goes wrong. I don't know. How do I?
So, are you in play mode or are you in
No,
design mode?
I'm in design mode, but on Mac, uh, after a while, the PPT goes in a different window and the Hangout is in a different window. That's why the screen share stops in the middle. Uh,
That's okay. Do you have it on the link? Do you have it up on a Google Drive or something where we can just open it up? It's okay.
no, I will just upload in the Google Drive.
Okay.
So then send a link on Hangout. Just one sec.
You can just post it here.
Yes, just one sec. Um, mm, right. Did you all get a link to it?
Now just put it in the Hangout chat and then hit the blue.
Yes.
Okay.
One sec. I uh, I lost the link. Um, 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 Presentation. Did you all get a link? Uh, um,
So Khushboo, we can keep going. We don't, you can send the slides later, but go ahead and just present what
okay, definitely,
you've done.
definitely. Uh, yes. So, but how will I give the demo for the? What we can do is, meanwhile I fix this. Nafisa can go on with the presentation because I have to give a demo of my project as well. So I'll just fix the screen sharing thing in the meanwhile.
Okay. All right, Nafisa, and Khushboo, can you mute yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Khushboo, Nafisa, Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I suppose I'll begin with my presentation. Did something show up?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Oopsies. Can you guys see the beginning of the presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so let me begin. So the goal that I was supposed to meet was to modify the subscription process by adding features. So this represented designing and implementing these features from scratch. So the first thing I was assigned was to save the SE answers to the database, because functionality for viewing these SE answers at a later time was missing from Postorius. And I also had to add gender selection to the form and location to the form, because these were not implemented in Mailman 3 yet, but they were in the Mailman 2 customization. So front-end goals were pretty straightforward. I had to add an accessible form for new applicants so that they could enter relevant information. The form was the crux of the development work, and I also wanted to make an accessible list of essays available to the administrator so that they could review essays that users submit and unsubscribe members from mailing lists and delete users if they do not approve of the information that they received. For example, if somebody who has no technical experience whatsoever tried to subscribe, then the administrator could reject that applicant. So I also wanted to add a button in the navigation bar so that it was easier to access all of the user's information in one place.
Nafisa, are you moving your screen? Moving your slides? 'Cause we only
Yes.
okay, because we only see the landing page. The first.
Oh, okay.
There we
Do you
go.
guys see a different slide now?
Yes, there we go. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll just do it in this view.
Okay.
This was the first slide. This was the second slide. And this is the slide I'm currently on. So back in goals, the changes can be described using a triangle. So first, you just modify the models, which is what I did. Then I had to modify the corresponding interfaces. And then, of course, the REST API with all of the relevant methods. So I'm going to demo the end result before I start speaking about the details. Do you see VirtualBox right now?
No, you probably only shared your PowerPoint, so you're gonna have to share your whole window, share your whole screen, so you can move between the two.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I will begin by trying to create a new user using the form that I made. So when you come to the login screen, there is a button where you can register as a user. So this is the button that new applicants will click when they want to subscribe to the Systers mailing list.
Beautiful.
Okay, thank you. So, of course, you're going to just add your display name. I'm just going to come up with something right here. An essay describing yourself. GSoC. Email, yes. And location, Vancouver, what else? Email, I have already created a Yahoo email for this purpose, which is what I will be using. Password. So what I have done with this form is that I have enforced the fields. So if you miss any single field or just don't enter the information, it will not let you proceed. So that's to ensure that the entire form is filled and it's not incomplete in any way. So when you click Create User, it will give you a notification saying that the user has been registered. And after you have registered as a user, you can log in using the credentials that you defined. So let's just log in right now. So you already saw that I assigned this email address to the user. It is with this email address that I can log in.
You know, here's one question I have for location. Should we have like a country and then let them enter in their location?
No, it's just a string field, so they can enter anything.
But how would I know? How can I, you know, one of the things that we do as statistics is know where, gather reporting on where, how many sisters are by country. That's really all the top level things that we really need to know.
Okay. So
Uh,
I have not implemented the statistics
okay.
in my feature.
Okay.
That might be something that another GSoC student could attempt to do. Okay, so I've logged in using the email address. So this is basically the user logging into Pistorius right now. So the user will now subscribe to a mailing list. So this is a mailing list that I created, and they will subscribe to it. So then they will have a notification saying that they have successfully subscribed, and basically that is that. And I want to go back to the super user, the administrator, and show you what the administrator can see about the user and, you know, the essays and the gender and the location. So this is the navigation bar, and it's here where I added this button. And here is the user that I created. Their display name, the essay, the gender, the location. Usually the essay is longer. If it's longer, the entire thing will show up right here. And they can review it from here. And if they wanted, they could delete the entire user using this button. But most of the time, the administrator will not want to delete the entire user, just unsubscribe them from a mailing list. So if you click the display name, it will show you a summary. And this summary basically states which mailing list this user subscribed to. So let's say that I don't want this user to be subscribed to masked@reverie.org. So I will just go to the mailing list directly. From here, I can list the members. And from the bottom, I will see all of the members that are subscribed. If there are more, all of them will show up. And I want to forcefully unsubscribe this person because I did not agree with their essay. Approve their essay. So once I click that, they have been unsubscribed. And if I wanted to further delete their entire record from the database, I can also do that from here. So the administrator has all of the administrative capacities that they should have. And basically that is the summary of the demo and what you can do and what I've implemented.
So can you delete a user if they are subscribed to a list, to one of your lists?
Yeah, you can delete it even if they aren't subscribed to any list.
I mean, if they are subscribed to a list, then you can still delete them?
Yeah, you can still delete them. You can delete them either way.
Okay.
Okay, so back to my presentation. Do you see the presentation slides?
Yes.
Okay. So, as Khushboo was saying earlier, we ran into great difficulties just setting up the environment. This took a long time and it was mostly trial and error. So the first thing I did was install the Mailman bundler, and this did not work out because of various reasons. Then I tried using an automated script written by one of the GNU Mailman GSoC students. This did not work either. Then finally I settled upon a more manual approach and used tutorials. So this was a very intensive downloading and installing process and was particularly difficult because I was not used to the virtual environment stuff. So it was a really big learning experience. So then there was also the issue with the repositories. So I initially used Launchpad to get all of the code. Unfortunately, Launchpad does not have the updated code, so I should have been using GitLab. So then, after I had installed Mailman, I had to go back and do it again because I did not have the updated code. So database choices. So I had to understand how to set up and synchronize the database. And this was a complex task because the original is a SQLite database, and it was suggested that I begin by using PostgreSQL because Systers uses PostgreSQL. But the problem that I ran into, and which I wrote in my progress reports, was basically multiple import errors. So just resolving one led to another, and it was just a rabbit hole. So I decided that I would delay the database integration towards the end, and I was supposed to do that.
Okay.
So then moving on to database migrations, this was a part of setting up the database. So Mailman uses Alembic to manage their migrations, and I had to learn how to use that and how to generate the files, also how to add columns for the 3 features that I was assigned, and make sure that it was added to the appropriate tables. And I learned that while it's easy to generate new files, it's difficult to delete the existing files. So then I ran into some trouble with this. So member versus user. So this was, I think, the primary design choice that I had to make. And initially, I thought that it was in the member that I had to add all of these features and the fields. And I just assumed that it would go towards the member, and I didn't consider that it might go towards the user. So just trying to distinguish between these 2 concepts was a task in itself. So I wrote to the developers list, where Steve gave a great and informative answer. Thanks, Steve. And based on his answer, I basically had to adjust the entire approach that I was taking. And this called for a complete shift in what I was doing towards something else. So before I was pursuing a dead-end approach, so I attempted to add the essay feature to the member table, and this had cascading effects and led me down to the subscription workflow, where I ran into protocol basically, and I think Steve called it duck typing, where if you change one method and then you have to go systematically change it in every single file that exists. So this was going to be very work intensive, and I decided that it was not worthwhile. So then I changed it to the correct approach, which means that I had to add the information, the fields to the users, not the list members, because it's the users that have the personality, instead of just subscribers with an email address and nothing else. So then I proceeded to add these attributes to the user interface and initialize these attributes in the models while also changing the rest methods. So basically the triangle I was speaking about earlier, but this time geared towards the users instead of the members. So modifying models, this was just adding the essay attribute to model at user.py, so relatively simple stuff. Adding columns with Unicode data type for all 3 fields, and assigning getter and setter methods. Modifying interfaces was also rather straightforward, just reflecting the changes made in the user model. And the REST API, so all of the methods that required calls to creating users. So I had to change those so that they would accept optional arguments of essay gender and location. And it's probably the most important method, so I'm pointing it out specifically. So that was the REST API in a nutshell. And Pastorius is where most of my development work is centered around. And I had to learn how Django works from the basic structure to higher level coordination across the URLs, the templates, and the REST methods. And I also had to refresh my memory on HTML forms. So this was a learning experience, and I had to do a lot of things at once just to get a hold of, just to understand how everything fell into place. And I ran into errors while trying to understand. And most of the errors were just URLs and server errors, and there were plenty of these that I ran into. I documented most of my work, like specifically in the documentation. So this presentation does not go into too much depth. It's just an overview. And then after doing all of the code changes across all components that I just mentioned, I had to upload the code onto GitHub in the midterm evaluation. So then that was another struggle with merging issues, especially trying to push code changes upstream, and multiple duplication problems. For some reason, the files were being duplicated, and I had a lot of unnecessary files. So I think I had to change some things about how I was pushing onto GitHub. So that was that. And then after the midterm and before now, I had to implement the additional features, the gender and location features. These were pretty trivial to add because I had already set up the basic infrastructure with the essay feature before. So it was just a matter of going systematically and adding the gender and location features everywhere that I had added the essay feature. So there wasn't too much to it, but it was still something that I did. Testing. So I wrote a single comprehensive test case to make sure that if any field was missing or added incorrectly, the form would be considered invalid and the applicant would not be able to register as a user because we do not want incomplete records of users in our database tables. So for example, if gender is given as instead of M or F, the form would be invalidated. But there are safeguards against this. So gender is a choice field, so it's not really possible to give it as instead of M or F. But even so, the testing covers this, as well as if you just don't enter a gender at all. So extensive documentation. So I made an attempt to detail all of the changes that I made because I realized that documentation is really important to not only my mentors so that they could understand what I did and what I accomplished, but also to other students, the future students who would like to know how I approached my tasks and how I went through and implemented my features. So that was the documentation, and it is available, and I will try to integrate it with the code base in the docs folder in the Systers tree, I think. So that's what I have to do currently. And this is the timeline, just a basic screenshot from the midterm evaluation to the soft pencils down deadline. And I was able to meet all of the milestones in between, basically making adjustments from the code review. So what Steve suggested, all of the, I think mainly his suggestions were code convention. For example, like not putting the arguments where they should be. So all of those suggestions I had to implement and base upon. So then the second feature development and the third feature development and the testing cases and finishing the documentation is what I accomplished from the midterm to now. And the remaining work right now is, well, I did not get around to doing the PostgreSQL integration. Yeah, so this is what remains to be done. And I did not write as many test cases as would have been ideal. So like I said, I have a single comprehensive test case. So yeah, it would probably be better if I had more, especially for the Mailman client. But I think what I have right now is still pretty decent because the form does work and it won't the fields are enforced. I also need to look into the user authentication process, because right now it's only Mozilla Persona that's accepting and authenticating the user that submits the form. So it doesn't go in through the normal way. I don't know if I can show that right now, but only the super user can sign in using the ordinary form. So if you create a user, they can only log in using Mozilla Persona. I don't know why this is. I haven't looked too deeply into it, but any future student should most certainly try to look into it. Okay, so that is basically my presentation, and I will take any questions right now.
Nafisa, that is an excellent work, excellent presentation of your what you've done. And I know you, and I'm glad that you didn't give up. I know that this is a very complex architecture as well. And I believe Anna emailed me last night about we have 3 new GitHub repos. According to Mailman, we needed to have 3, right, Stephen? So she's created those, and I believe Stephen will be able to work with Anna and you and Khushboo to get all of that straightened out. I really do appreciate the work. You have no idea how long we've been wanting this, and it's just the fact that we use Google Summer of Code to get a lot of our work done, right? Because otherwise we really didn't. So we're so looking forward to it, and I have the 3 things already that I want to additionally work on, and we have like our annual Grace Hopper celebration where we do an open source day, and so these are the 3 things that I want to tackle for the Mailman project on those as well, and so we'll probably get that kicked off, so your documentation will be so helpful for someone that wants to pick it up, and you did some really great work, and I appreciate you hanging in there. This has been a long time coming for us, and so the work that you and Khushboo have done this summer really is going to help us so that we can migrate. My plan is to migrate to 3.0. I don't know how smoothly that's going to go, but migrate to 3.0 in January. So, Stephen, you and Anna has been really great in just providing that mentorship with them. That's amazing. I've been following the discussions on Mailman too, so I appreciate it. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to Nafisa's presentation, Stephen? Or questions?
Just a couple of things. One is that the repositories on the Systers account at GitHub are now populated with upstream, and they're up to date.
Okay.
As far as I know, the students cannot push; they have to do pull requests.
Yes.
And we'll be integrating that way.
Okay. That's fine.
And if there's anything else, we can deal with that. I guess Anna's off on some sort of family trip. She's had a lot of things go south for her this summer, and so she was hoping to make it, but couldn't do it tonight.
Yeah. I understand. And I just appreciate it. I'm just looking forward to it. We've all been using. I think we're still on 2.12. And I have been getting a lot of heat from the members, like, why can't we move to 3.0? So this is why, and I'm so happy for the work. Well, thank you so much. Great job.
I just want to say that I also appreciate, the symbiosis that we share. So the students, they gain a lot of development experience. So I did not know how to use a Linux command line when I began, and now I use it all the time. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Transformation. Yeah, transformation. I mean, I don't think students, you realize that even just working on a global team, the time zones, right? that's always challenging, and all the different personalities, and just trying to get stuff done. But you can see the work that you're doing and have done, in full bloom. So that's where it's all worth it. And I know it's hard, but it's really a great experience. This program is really a good program.
I agree.
All right, thank you. Khushboo, we'll head over to you now. And
I hope the screen share works this time.
okay, no problem.
So, mm, yes.
There we are. Oh, we had it, but we lost it.
Again?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God. Oh no. I think there's something wrong with my settings. Do you have any idea how to do it? The moment I share a screen, it goes
Uh-oh, we
It
lost
should
them.
work. I was using my MacBook earlier to
Mm-hmm.
try to do this, and if you
this.
try, like, if you click screen share, it should give you options.
If
Why
I
don't you,
click screen share, it
yes.
gives me the option to share. Uh, so should I select desktop in that case?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's good. Yeah, that's better. There you go.
okay. So can you see the screen presentation now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
great.
Oh, I hope it stays. Yes, so prerequisite tasks. So I think I stopped at the previous slide was my goals, and uh, as Nafisa and me share a lot of common tasks that we had to do, and I think she's already explained all of these. I'll just go over, just iterate once again. Installing Ubuntu in a virtual machine, which was very important. Then we had to set up Mailman core, Mailman client, Postorius, Postorius standalone, HyperKitty, and HyperKitty standalone. I'll explain what these are in the next slide. And this most important thing was not most important, but another thing we did was set up Git repositories for our projects. Now, to just give a brief understanding of how this Mailman 3 architecture is different from the other versions, it has 5 components, which is Mailman core basically is the engine which accepts all the messages, processes them, sends them to different mail users, and it has a REST API through which other components can access the Mailman core. Then there's Postorius, which is the Django-based web user interface. Then there's HyperKitty, which is the web archiver. And the Mailman client is basically what is the binding between the core and the Django-based projects, Postorius and HyperKitty. And and the Mailman bundler is basically just how to simply install all of these components. So I'll just give a demo of what I have done so far before explaining how I've done it. Can you see the virtual machine?
Yes.
Yes, so this is the Postorius interface, which you must have seen earlier also. So my first task was to get the count of unsubscribers. And for that, firstly, I had to set up an architecture to store the channels of unsubscribing. Like, for example, when a subscriber says, I want to unsubscribe, then if it is through a member page, or if it's through email, or if it's because the admin has unsubscribed the member. So to store that, there was no setup in Mailman 3, so I first created that architecture or infrastructure. So for example, if I'm a user, I'm logged in as Khushboo already. So if I choose this mailing list, dev dev at the rate localhost dot local domain. So if I see the members here, if a member logs in and for example, if these members, they are just dummy email addresses that I have subscribed. So if I unsubscribe this member, it'll be stored in the mailing in Mailman DB as a member, as an unsubscriber, and the channel would be member options. If there is mass removal by the admin, for example, um, if the admin removes some users like fa@y.com. So this will be stored in the database as unsubscribed through channel mass admin mask removal. Similarly, for email, also I have made changes. Unfortunately, I have not been able to test it because my mail transfer agent wasn't working. It did work initially, but I think after some reinstallation, I was unable to receive mails on this particular on these mailing lists that I set up on my local host. So I could not test them, but hopefully it'll work because I did ask on the mailing list also how it works, and I think it will. So once I have unsubscribed, I would like to get the stats for the number of members who unsubscribed and through what channels. So, so for example, so what I've done is I've written a script, uh, and if I just run this script and give the uh, input as the mailing list for which I want to unsubscribe, and okay. Yes, so for example, you see, I get the result, I get the number of unsubscribers via different channels and total number of unsubscribers. So when I don't specify the dates between which I want to get the number of unsubscribers, it gives me a summary of all the unsubscribers. But if I specify a date, I can also specify a date, for example, uh, if I specify this date 12, so I number of unsubscribers from this date towards to till today. So this gives me number of unsubscribers for four because I think today's members weren't counted. Uh, Again, if I give the end date as okay, just happened. Oh, I've given the wrong mailing list. It's dev@, localhost or local domain. So it gives me number of unsubscribers as 3. And if I don't specify this and I specify an earlier date, it gives me 0 because I think yeah, because it did not consider today's members who unsubscribed today, and probably I'd added another member last evening, so it did not even consider that. So this is what the first feature is. In fact, I can do the same thing by accessing the shell in Postgres, but I don't think I should. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of running, of
Yeah.
getting the details of unsubscribers. And so I will just go on explaining how I have gone about implementing it. You see the PowerPoint screen now?
Yes, we do.
Yes. So this is how I've implemented this. So firstly, this is what the feature is, that I had to get the number of unsubscribes via these 4 different channels. First is the member options page, where if a member unsubscribes via the member page on the web member page, then it's member options page, a channel. The second is the email confirmation, where the member sends an email with the subject unsubscribe to the mailing list. The third one is disabled address, where the member selects disabled in the mail delivery option. And the fourth one is the admin mask removal, which is self-explanatory. Again, the implementation. So firstly, I had to store the channel of unsubscription in the database. So in Postgres, which is the web interface for the members and the admins, the channel, when the person unsubscribes through member options page, or if there's an admin mask removal, then in Postgres the channel is passed. The client, the Mailman client, which is the middleman, handles this, and it sends it to the Mailman code through the REST API. So, and then I created a new model called unsubscriber, where when the member is unsubscribed, it is first deleted from the members table in the database, and simultaneously in the unsubscriber table, I store the member information like the role, the member address, the member email address, the mailing list from which he or she unsubscribes, and the channel of unsubscribing, along with the date. Uh, Also, for email unsubscription, in the Mailman core itself, I handle it and store the channel as email unsubscription. Email, yeah. I have not been able to implement for the channel when for the case when the member just chooses disable delivery, and I hope I'll be able to do it after GSoC or probably the person who takes it up next. Also, as I said, I haven't been able to test for unsubscribe through email because complications posed by the mail transfer agent. The second thing that I had to do was to implement a way to get the count of unsubscribers. Again, this was a two-step process where firstly I made a method in the Mailman client which accepts a mailing list ID, the start date and stop date. The last two arguments are optional, and when it accepts these parameters, it at the same time it also validates the date input. It checks if the format is correct. It checks if the start date is not post the stop date, like it's in correct order. Also, it checks that the user is when a user inputs stop date, like the ending date, the start date is also there. So there are a lot of validations, and if all of these qualify, then the Mailman client passes this input to the REST interface of Mailman core. Uh, and the Mailman core handles this request and returns the count of unsubscribers for these three channels, which is email confirmation, member option speech, and admin mask removal, and also the total number of unsubscribers between time interval if specified. Uh, so for the REST API, I handle the get or the post request from the client. I check if the mailing list requested exists in the database or not. Otherwise, I throw an error. I this REST module calls the roster method called count and subscriber, which uh, which actually makes a connection to the database and queries the table unsubscriber for details of the count of unsubscribers. I also wrote test cases in both Mailman core and Mailman client to check various use cases. For example, if the mailing list exists or not, if the date is valid or not, or if the channel, for example, when the member is unsubscribing, so the channel which is stored is valid or not. So I just have an enum or an array of 4 types, and if the channel is not between these 4, then again a message is displayed saying invalid channel. Uh, then my second feature was to get total number of unique subject lines. To go about this, I basically uh, developed a module in HyperKitty. HyperKitty, being the mail archiver, has the history of all the mails which have been sent to all the mailing lists. So I basically take the name of the mailing list for which we want the total number of unique subject lines, and I query the database of HyperKitty for all the threads that have been stored in the previous month. So if I get all the threads, since each thread will have one subject, so this is how I get, like, all the different threads will have a different starting email and unique subject. So if I just query the threads database, I get the total number of unique subject lines. For the implementation of this, I again wrote methods in the Mailman client that accepts the name of the mailing list. It then sends an HTTP GET request to the HyperKitty server and fetches the count of threads, which gives me the desired result. In HyperKitty, I accept the request. I handle it for errors. If the mailing list does not exist, I throw a 400 error, and otherwise, I I uh, I basically query the database for use the API to fetch the number of threads from the database. I also wrote a script to make a call to this Mailman client method and display the count for a particular mailing list. I'll just give a demo for this feature. actually, I would rather go on to the next feature and give a demo together.
Okay.
My third feature was to get the number of members who posted.
Khushboo?
For this, yes.
Yeah, just giving you some time. We have about 7 minutes left. So if you want to skip over some slides and do a demo, that would be probably a better.
Yes, sure. I'll just do that. I think I'll be able to complete in 7 minutes.
Okay.
So, for number of members who posted, we do a similar in a similar fashion. I just query the database for all the emails, and I check those emails for unique senders and display the result. I'll just give a demo.
Okay.
It's very short. I have written a script, which calls all the modules that I have written and just in short gets me the result. So if I call this script called client call and give their mailing list, this is the dummy mailing list that I have created.
Mhm.
So it gives me two results. Firstly, the count of unique subject lines is 3, and number of members who posted are, these are dummy senders again, which I have made in the database, and total number of members who posted. Since it's based on emails, again the limitation was I could not check on my server by sending mails, so I created these dummy data inputs, and then that's how I checked my functions.
Could you could you potentially add a date range in that as well?
Yes, I can. Not in this one, because
Okay.
in this one I have made my function in a way where it specifies the dates of the end of the beginning and the first day and the last day of the previous month. Because I think in the requirements, the admin just needs the results of the previous month.
Yeah,
So
that's
in
true.
my
That's all we
function, I
needed.
send the date of the previous month. But if required, I can definitely change it to accept dates as well. It will not be a big task really.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we only wanted to do the previous month, and that's part of our reporting. So that's good. It's okay for right now. Yeah.
Yes. So, this is what my features were for GSoC, and I have just given a summary of the files updated in all the 4 modules, and the models that I created were, rather updated or used were the member table and the unsubscriber table in Mailman, and these 3 tables in HyperKitty. For timeline, I have updated my timeline in this. This is where I have documented my timeline, so it will be there as part of my documentation, so anybody can take a look at my timeline.
Mhm.
It includes all the tasks that I have done, the problems that I had faced all along, and like basically everything and all my features that I've implemented in this particular frame of 3 months. Also, I think regarding the problems and challenges I faced, I feel that me and Nafisa share a lot of common problems. We had problems in installing Mailman. I think it was we had to do it 2 or 3 times. Then even with HyperKitty, I remember there was one time when I think they had migrated Kitty Store to HyperKitty standalone, and I reinstalled it again. We had problems with creating the models as well initially, and but later on, as after discussing it with the mentors or posting it on the mailing list, we were able to figure it out. It was a really good learning experience. In fact, me and Nafisa used to communicate on a regular basis to see how we're doing and learn from each other's experiences. And the mentors have been really helpful. Anna has been really helpful, and Stephen especially answered all our queries in great detail and with great patience. He corrected me a lot of times when I was posting on the mailing list. It was really helpful. Thank you. And
You can stop sharing your screen.
yes, I'll just do that. And let me
um,
just see if I have anything. Oh yes, there's something left on my presentation that what I have not been able to complete and I would like to do. Should I, if we
yeah,
have time, I
Yeah.
can.
absolutely. We have a few more minutes. I notified the other team. That's okay.
Yes, just one. Hmm. Hmm. Yes, scope and future plans. So, features that I have not been able to implement were give stats for members who unsubscribed through the channel disabled address.
Mhm.
I wanted to write a cron job to generate reports every first day of the month. Although I have developed the infrastructure for that, all the functions are ready, but the cron job I have not been able to write. I hope I'll be able to do it later, or
Mhm.
someone else will be able to take it over. And also prompt for user input for email address to which the report has to be sent.
Mhm.
I was hoping that probably there'll be something like maybe we could develop a posterior user interface for viewing the report. I don't know if there's a requirement for that, but this can be a feature that we can think of
That
later
would
on.
be lovely. I was thinking about that
Also,
too. That would be lovely.
that would be really nice. I thought I'd be able to do it in this GSoC, but I think I did not really get time. And view information of the unsubscribers selectively, like what roles, like filter them by roles or filter them by different user attributes. But hopefully we'll be able to do it later on. It's open source and it's Mailman. I really loved working on Mailman, so probably even after GSoC, I'll be a part of Mailman development.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's about it.
Wow.
Thank you.
I
Good. We always
really
love to hear that.
great job. Great job, both of you. I mean, this is amazing. I'm so excited, but I know I have to keep my patience. And this is the first time I'm actually seeing the UI for Stories. So I'm really excited, and I'm sure that our members are going to be excited. They've been hammering me about Rose, when are we going to upgrade, and so it's just taken some time. So I'm so happy of the work that you both have done. This is amazing. Definitely, you can work on Mailman afterwards. I have a great idea for that as well. We're definitely gonna, like I said, I'm gonna take some of the things that we didn't get done, and hopefully we can put it into the open source day at Grace Hopper, and maybe you can connect and lead some of the students there. But excellent, excellent work, Stephen. Anything you want to say about Khushboo's presentation or work?
No, I'm very happy with the progress that both the students made. I'm really pleased to see that you're getting the features that you need.
Yes.
And
Oh gosh, I
I
can't
think
wait.
that it's hard to say, but based on my own reviews, I think there's going to be very little trouble integrating the two features. I don't think they're going to clash with each other. And speaking of integration, D-lists is proceeding. I haven't looked at it carefully in a couple of weeks, but maybe by January you'll have all three features in shape to start testing.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
thank you, thank you. It's the
Brilliant.
little things. You have no idea. It's the little things that really are so excited. And I know it's like, what? You're so excited about Mailman, but really, we do a lot of manual work on the admin side to do a lot of the stuff. And when you're growing as we are, we need all the help that we can get. And so having this type of UI and these type of features is really going to make our lives easier, not just from an administrative point, but also from a user-friendly membership. So they're all very excited to jump on this as well. So we really appreciate it. You know what I'm really impressed by too is that both of you are just jumped right into Mailman and just asked your questions, and not afraid to get any kind of feedback that you get, and that was really cool to see also, because I know sometimes people are very hesitant about asking those questions. So we really appreciate that. And you both did an excellent work. I'm so excited, and so I'm definitely going to share the status back to our community, but also back to our IT team, and get the infrastructure in place to really support it. So I'm going to have a new server and everything. I'm really excited. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great job, great job, great job. And thank you, Stephen.
You're
Excellent
welcome.
as well. We hope you come back to mentor us again, help out again. This has been excellent. We got a lot of work done for us. So thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for
Okay.
giving us the opportunity.
Absolutely. You have a great day. Nafisa, go back to sleep.
I will.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.